Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning to all the survivors of the after party yesterday. So as the MC already mentioned, we are starting off pretty heavy in the topic with the topic of infrastructure and why it ain't easy. I would like to introduce myself and the panelists will introduce themselves. So I'm Gleb Dudka. I'm from Greenfield Capital. We are the European-based crypto VC. We also run our own validator, so we try to support our portcos in various ways, including running and providing infra for them. I would like the panelists to introduce themselves. Let's start with Chris.
Sure. Hey, good morning, everyone. Chris Sharp. I'm CTO at Blockdaemon.
Hello, everyone. I'm Luis from Octopus Network. Octopus is I would say a complementary infrastructure in NEAR ecosystem. We serve application-specific blockchain by providing shared security and interoperability support.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Thalita. I'm part of the Chorus One infrastructure provider, so basically specialized in validator nodes. We run 47 networks nowadays, so I think this panel is something that's very relevant to start discussing as the multi-chain road takes over.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Exciting to be here. My name is Yair Cleper. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Lava Network. In Lava, we're building a modular infrastructure layer that can support any RPC API in any chain.
Okay, awesome. It's great to have you guys. So let's dive into the questions and topic right away. So the first question is we are in an increasingly modular, increasingly fragmented blockchain world. We have right now large debates around the modularity, like the modular blockchain stack versus the monolithic stack, as well as the number of L1s and as well as L2s is constantly growing. So I mean that definitely possesses a lot of challenges for infrastructure providers. So I was wondering how do you guys deal with that increasing number of connections? Because I mean all of these layers and modules, they need to be interconnected with one another, and that creates friction. So I was wondering, how do you in your company kind of deal with that? And then what challenges do you believe this fragmentation poses towards the users of these protocols or your protocol, your company? Let's start with maybe Chris.
Yeah, sounds good. We have distinct lines of business. Obviously, we have our nodes business, and I would answer the question differently there than I would for our API business. On the node side of things, really automation, making sure that we can get updates, apply patches, and stay current so that these networks are as secure and as operationally functional as possible. On the API side of things, really building things from a platform perspective and making sure that as new protocols come on board, where there are similarities, there's less and less work for us to do over time. On the wallet side of things, again, it comes back to then building off of the work that we've done on the API side of things. So for our universal API, once we've added a protocol there, it should then become much easier to integrate from a wallet perspective. So that's kind of our approach. And then I would say finally, just staying very current with evolving technologies, whether they're shared sequencer networks or other kinds of things that effectively make some of the bridges, the exchanges, the dexes, the DeFi stuff, sort of communicate with one another more seamlessly.
Makes sense. What about you guys, Luis?
Okay, so I think we are still in the process of, let's say, blockchain explosion, and in the coming years, we will see hundreds, if not thousands, public chain, app chain, middleware chain, execution layer, DA layer, but not necessarily. I will not name this trend as fragmentation. It's about exploration, since there is only very few use case has been proven to be relevant in terms of Web3 or open web. We need to explore much more fields to make Web3 a real thing. And be frankly, we don't know what's the next killer app. And the first thing, we need a lot of different infrastructure, diversified blockchain, or even some other things beyond blockchain, such as neutral, semantic, and Urbit, this kind of decentralized infrastructure to make additional use case happen in the decentralized context. But if there are, let's say, thousands of blockchain, it's not that scary, since considering how many devices TCP/IP has been connected with together, providing we have open, comprehensive standard on interoperability, we will be okay. That is why we work on IBC. I think it's the only open, comprehensive interoperability stack around the place, and we are about to enable IBC on NEAR, and we partner with Secret Network to be to launching a real bridge. It will be the first one for Cosmos chain to connect with NEAR via IBC, and we hope IBC will be pervasive, and all the blockchain and decentralized infrastructure will be connected with each other in a trustless way.
Understood. And with Lava, how do you handle that increased fragmentation?
Yeah, no, I think what I can add to the important things that was saying here is that we see fragmentation in the middleware layers. And I think that the concept of blockchain being serverless towards and sharing the same, the backend of the same state within the different providers, I think what we're looking now is the increasing adoption of more and more rollups and blockchains. And at the end of the day, Lava is addressing that in 3 different ways. First of all, we're building a modular infrastructure. It's something that incentivizing the community to take any spec, any new upcoming chains, and together with our existing amazing partners, for example, Blockdaemon, we are able to tackle quickly the entry point for these blockchains, the RPC and API level. The second part of that is that we're creating kind of incentive mechanism that makes sense that every vendor, every provider is able to get rewards according to the quality of service. And we see that a lot of lock-in vendors we have today in blockchains. Some of the contracts were made 1 year ago, even more, when we had all in the bull run, and the reality has changed. So I think if we are able to be to give a more flexibility to the chain and focus on RPC becoming a commodity, but making it the quality of service, the rewards based on the quality of service, that's going to change and scale up much better the world we live in.
What do you guys think with Chorus One?
Yeah, I think when it comes to node provider, the biggest challenge with the fragmentation of the ecosystem is how you choose the ecosystems that you will support.
Yeah.
It's becoming mostly impossible, I would say, to support all layer ones and all decentralized networks that are not even blockchains. So I think this would be the biggest challenge. And also when it comes to specializing what the service that you offer, for example, we try to be active on governance. So you need not only to run the software of the blockchain or that decentralized network, but also to have researchers following the ecosystem, what is the particularities of each ecosystem and the main technical challenges that are being discussed that is completely different in the Cosmos ecosystem and on the Ethereum ecosystem, for example. So I think this is a big challenge for us. And I would still like to mention a third one, that is the user experience, because as a node provider, although we support 47 networks, the user experience is still not the smoothest that it could be, in my opinion. For example, when it comes to the user wants to know how often the rewards are paid, or there are just so many wallets. So if you hold many different assets, you have all these different systems and different wallets that you need to manage, and the rewards that you need to claim and restake. So I think this is also something that could be improved on when it comes to staking. Yeah.
But I think just to add one thing, Thalita just touched a very interesting concept about decentralization, and we all hear also for decentralization, but I think there is a bit misconception that decentralization bring lack of scalability, much more complexity, and it's something that us as first comer to the ecosystem, to blockchain, to Web3, only 2.5 years ago, we see that decentralization is the tool, is not the end goal.
Yeah.
Because obviously, at the end of the day, if it's on the expense of scalability and complexity, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, definitely. That's not a goal in itself, right? It's a means to an end. Yeah. From the investor standpoint, we oftentimes look at like what moat and what defensibility and stickiness does the project or protocol have. And I was wondering, like, it's pretty. Yes, we know some metrics for like stickiness and moat, I guess, in terms of like more consumer-facing protocols like DeFi. We can look at TVL. There's like, I don't know, active users. There's a bunch of KPIs. And I was wondering, what do you, in your line of business, think? Like, how do you think about your moat, like your stickiness of your users, of your clients, and then kind of what KPIs are you using? Like, what KPIs would you think are the most important for you? And then, how do fees kind of fit into those? Because I feel like with infrastructure, sometimes you start kind of as a free offer, but then over time, once you gain some stickiness, you start charging fees, which might then make you not as competitive. So I was just wondering how you guys think. Maybe we start with Octopus.
Oh, yeah. I think apparently the mode is there for success protocols. For example, we know that Ethereum, they get billions of dollars protocol revenue a month. But if I fork out Ethereum, it will worth nothing. So I think the mode of protocol is composed of two major parts. One is network effects. For example, Octopus network, we facilitate the shared security from near restaking to app chain. And so there is a provider side. If there is more near holder engage with restaking, that will be easier for app chain to get cost-effective security. And if there is more app chain who join this network, it will provide more opportunity for near staker to gain their rewards. So it's a two-sided market, apparently have network effects. The second part of the mode is about, I would say, confidence or faith. That means, application developer, they choose their infrastructure very cautiously, and if the infrastructure fail, their effort will go meaningless. And so, if an infrastructure, whether it's blockchain or middleware, it has been there for years and with good maintenance and reputation, a lot of usage, adoption, economic activities there, we can safely buy that it will exist in the coming years. So Lindy effects, and it will give this protocol a mode to the others.
Got it. And with Course One, how do you view your moat, whether towards like the protocols or towards the users?
Well, I think cost efficiency is something that will stand out as competition has been increasing a lot on the infrastructure side in the last couple of years, I would say. And also the way that the quality of service in general that you offer, not only on when it comes to uptime of the infrastructure, but also everything else that is related to running the nodes. So for example, on the research side, as I mentioned, that is something that we try to explore a lot. And although I think what's also relevant when it comes to the fee part is that we have a cost. So although the competition can increase a lot, there is a minimum that you need to charge because of your fixed cost in dollars. That is basically servers and salaries. So yeah, I think mostly the cost efficiency would be something that I believe would create this advantages for the players in the infrastructure, yeah.
Got it. As in another professional node operator, Chris?
Yeah, sure, thanks. So on Blockdaemon, I kind of would separate it maybe into two broad categories. The first category would be just, our corporate structure, right? Like we didn't have to, but we have financially audited accounts. We're ISO certified, right? And so that is going to be the kind of thing that if you're, TradFi, maybe a big bank, really globally, that's going to be, I think, for us, something that we look at as a bit of a moat. Because you want to make sure that the company you're doing business with today is going to be in business tomorrow as well, right? And that's something that we didn't have to do, but we chose to do, and it cost a lot and a lot of time. The audits are kind of hard to do every year, but it's important for us and our partners. On the second side of things, I would say innovating on the technology side of things. We've got an institutional MPC wallet with a user experience that allows you to do sort of one-click staking. And if you think about all of the things that are involved in making that work, you have to have, for it to be on-prem, that's hard. For it to be MPC, that's really hard. Then you've got, the API that I mentioned earlier that is sort of servicing that. It's available for everyone else. We eat our own dog food, so to speak. And then, of course, the, rock-solid 4 nines of nodes and everything that's powering those APIs. And so it's really a series of things that we bring to the table that we think, creates a competitive advantage.
Got it. And Yair?
Yeah, I think just to add a bit for how Lava sees the picture and my personal belief, I think we can divide that into 4 different things. We see community, we see integration and composability. We see the brands, and obviously the fee, or even the new data primitive that we're thinking now. Community is the bread and butter of the topic, right? Because if you know how to harness the community, if you know how to incentivize them, the rest will come, right? This is why I think most of you here, and this is why you like to be here and near. The second part is integration and composability. And I think what was important for us from the get-go is to make this modular infra that is going to be plug and play to every ecosystem in one hand, able to support the 1,000 rollup and nascent chains, and at the same time to use the standards. So we in Lava integrated Ether.js, WebDS, Cosalmon, and we see that if we give one subscription access to all Web3, basically, developers is focusing on the building. They're not focusing on if they want to expand to new blockchains, who's going to support them. And that's lead me to the third point that is about the usability, the user experience, how easy is to go multi-chain. Because as you see announcement yesterday by Ilya, for example, with Polygon and Near, and there's a lot of integration between the different chains. At the end of the day, you need to give the devs the flexibility to go between one chain and another. And our vision as a new data primitive says that if you have the data committed and backed by financial commitments, so you can trust it. If you have strong partners that already were an expert in specific ecosystem, that's what we're working for with Blockdaemon, for example, the scale is inevitable. And that's my 2 cents.
Got it. Yeah, let's try kind of a little bit of a wild angle here. There's increasing talk right now about like enshrining different services or different infrastructure protocols into the core like base layer 1. So with Ethereum, that would be like discussions whether Ethereum should implement or like enshrine liquid staking into the core protocol, and that would potentially put some of the kind of infrastructure protocols which are higher in the stack under pressure of just maybe like being integrated by respective L1s. So I was wondering, does someone of you think that some of your core business you're running would be in danger potentially long term, and how would you think about this? Who wants to take that one?
Well, I can take it. On the node operator side, there is one dimension that's the more different binaries and softwares you have to run, the more complexity and different things that you need to monitor. So this is a dimension that would create an incentive for having more things in the protocol. Although I also believe that it might be risky, because the more complexity you have on the layer 1, for example, the more chance you open for having an attack or a bug that is complex, and it's harder to predict and to treat if something happens. So I think personally I'm a fan of the protocol minimalism, where I think layer 1 should only mostly focus on consensus and execution. And yeah, so that's my personal take on that.
Got it. I think we are running a little bit out of time, so I just wanted to finish the panel with some likely spicy takes. So I was wondering if you believe something about blockchain infra, which is like you believe is not really common sense, or is kind of somewhat controversial. So let's start with Yair, maybe.
When we started, we see that there is a natural evolution in blockchain infrastructure. Everyone at the beginning was running their own nodes. And when blockchain adoption grew up, it doesn't make sense, right, to scale it up. Second evolution was the centralized provider really eliminating the barrier to entry to all the blockchain. And I think that the conception now that we like to talk about in Lava is the modular infrastructure, something that, as Thalita said, is all about incentives. Some of the investors told me it's like Uber for nodes, right? We all remember all the shared economy. Some of them I support, some of them less. But at the end of the day, it brought something new. It brought something that adapting to the dynamics of the new world. It's adapting to the dynamic of the next bull run. And yeah, I think the next bull run will be all about incentivizing the community in order to help you build a much bulletproof and performant infrastructure.
Okay, got it. I think we have time for one more controversial take. Does anyone want to take it?
I'll take it. We work on the field of app chain, application-specific blockchain, and people think that layer 2 or layer 3 will replace app chain since they inherit security from layer 1. But I think the basic contradiction is not roll-up versus app chain. It's about general purpose versus application-specific. So for any infrastructure, if it's general purpose, it can accommodate a lot of use case. But for any specific use case, I can make a better infrastructure to fully optimize for this use case. So it's up to the developer to choose public chain or app chain. And the app chain can be let's say, another way to, there's another way for app chain, let's say, build on Cosmos SDK to inherit security from layer 1. And it's much more mature than layer 2, since all the layer 2, there is a centralized sequencer, centralized and centralized pooler. So I think for any application-specific choice, let's say app chain, Cosmos SDK would be a better choice than rollups. So this is my point.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we are out of time. It was great having you guys on the panel. Really pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you for listening.